military officers. This comes after the meeting chaired by the Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi. The President, the list that was forwarded to the President for the recommendation by the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, has seen that the President has also made some changes and has also promoted the 23 military office personnel. So you can also read that from the story. As we know from the recommendation, Miayo picked as the presidential security head, story by Zadok Angera, that you can also find on page 7 of the People Daily newspaper. Nakuru Hospital receives drugs worth 23 million shillings. The story by Raphael Munge. Nakuru Deputy Governor David Kones lagged off shipment of vital drug worth 23 million from Mission for Essential Drug meds to the hospital across the country. You can also read much of the story there on page 7. Now moving on to page 8, businessman arrested over estranged wife's murder. That is in Eldoret. The businessman who was accused, or in the case murder of his wife, is now realigned, is arrested and will be charged in court. You can also read much of that story on page 8. Transporters decry police malpractices. Now the transporters are now saying the police are out and saying transport have decried massive corruption between traffic police and truck drivers. They say no matter how the truck drivers are clean, the trucks are clean, the police always find fault, and now they are crying to the government saying let them initiate instant fine to whoever will be found culpable on that order. That story you read on page 8. Never moves to calm nerves over railway land allocation. Developers on Nairobi industrial area accuse corporates for allocating controversial land, pieces of land. That is a story by the People Daily reporter. You can also read that and much on page 8 of the People Daily. Page 9 is the advertisement of the People Daily newspaper. You can get that. Now moving to editorial on page 10 of the People Daily newspaper. Quote of the day. Let me begin with what the President said. I intend to propose changes to the Public Finance Act, Public Finance Management Act, and the Public Procurement and Disposal Act within 90 days to make the necessary changes to improve the system that have been named as the major conduit of corruption. That's a quote by the President. You can get there. Investing in proper repairs is a far wiser choice than lining a few corrupt pockets. The belief that vehicles must have a fault no matter how well maintained is simply untrue. That's a story by Kenya Transport Association Chairman. You can you will also get that quote there. We also have no, we have not given anyone that land in industrial area. That is our land. If the neighbors are raising issues about drainage, that is the role of the government. That is Kenya Railways. That is MD Philip Maina. You can also get the quote there, and also we have stories from the editorial desk. You can read that. Meanwhile, on page 10 we have the cartoon of the day, where we see the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga walking on the peel of the orange fruit, as we see Wanjiku and the little boy. That's ODM standing on joining Ruto's cabinet. Get to find more. That's on the People Daily. You will also find many stories, People Daily feature stories and editorial stories on page 10 and on page 11. In hasty digital age, a key punctuation mark fails. You can also get that. We also have Your Tech, recent protest shaping a new era of activism. You can also read that and much of the story Africa must lead the change against the land corruption. You can also read much of that story on page 11 of the People Daily. Now on page 11 of the People Daily, we also have tweet of the day. You can also read the tweet of the day. Let me read from Ricky Boniface. Since that precedes unfortunate events, Simba wa Garissa amepelekwa kwa misitu. Today I'm only going to take that, find your time and read quotes of that is tweets of the day in the People Daily newspaper on page 11. Now moving on to page 12 of the People Daily newspaper, survey, divorce rate high among women in the late 30s. NCPD reports further shows that older women, the age 45 to 49 years, are likely to be in polygamous relationship. You can get to read much of the story on the survey. Population rise affect ecology, study shows. You can also read that story on page 12 of the People Daily newspaper. On the same page on the People Daily newspaper, you are finding it there where Ruiru seeks donor aid as over 40,000 learners apply for bursaries. Story by Oliver Musendi. More than 40,000 needy learners are seeking school bursary allocations in Ruiru constituency, Kiambu County, as the proposed electoral areas grapples with an overwhelming number of applicants. You will read that story on page 12 of the People Daily. Now moving on to page 13, MPs undo cuts in education and health budget. Appropriation panel trims overall spending from 156.4 billion to 146.3 billion in supplementary estimates that you'll get on the People Daily newspaper on page 13. Why Kenya's urban centers are losing population. Now from the report, the story by Cynthia Atuo shows that many people are migrating from urban areas to the rural areas. You can read much of that story on page 13 of the People Daily newspaper. Central Region toxic liquor death tolls to 25. Now, more than 25 people in the central region and surrounding areas have died and scores more hospitalized or blinded by illicit alcohol since the beginning of the year. Now, the report now indicates that more than 25 people have died in central area as many people go blind and others are hospitalized as a result of illicit brew. You can also read that story on page 13 of the People Daily newspaper. Moving on to page 14, dairy product price war in Nyahururu trigger cost reduction in the country. When Jane Wanjiku founder found the price of her favorite packet of milk reduced in one of the supermarkets in Nyahururu town, Laikipia County, she happily bought two instead of one as usual. Now, the prices of dairy, that is milk, has been reducing, and as a result, people from Nyahururu are very much happy. Now, infections 12 times likely to cause death in 2050. Land use change, deforestation, and agricultural practices to disrupt ecosystem and increase human-wildlife interaction, creating conditions for zoonotic disease. You can also read that story on page 14 of the People Daily newspaper. Energy dealers donate to Masai Mara University. You can also read that story on page 14. On page 15, we have the advert of Kilimo na Biashara with Linda Koske only on K24 now on Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. You can also get that. Now on page 16, we have Business Hub. Stop undermining small audit firms, banks told. Accountants bodies say accepting only financial statement by so-called Big Four as valid or acceptable is discriminatory. Story by Cynthia Atu. You can read that business story. Africa's potential for growth remains high despite bearish IMF. You can also read that story on page 16. Musk says Tesla to use humanoids rebuilt next year. You can also read that story, business story on page 16. On page 17, luxury brands suffer as Chinese shoppers hold back. You can also read that story. Kenya tops peers in AFDB funding over last decade. Data indicates between 2013 to 2023, Kenya secured 3.718 billion, outpacing Tanzania and Rwanda. You can also read that and much more in the People Daily. Remember, People Daily is a free newspaper. You can grab your copy and read. I'm just giving you the brief. Briefly, KBS acquires first electric bus in modernization drive. That is Kenya Bus Services has acquired a new electric bus. You can read that and more of that story on page 17 of the People Daily. Israeli cybersecurity firm rejects 23 billion Google buyout. You can also read that story on page 17. Now moving on to page 18 of the People Daily newspaper. Millennials to drive growth of insurance. The group is among most influential demography and were born between the age of 1982 to 1994. You can also read the story there by the People Daily. While you also have the Market Watch, Nairobi Securities Exchange. You will also find that there. Crowd strike to improve after bag outage. You can also read that story on page 18 of the People Daily newspaper. That is Business Matters. Moving on to page 16, we have the advert of Kameme TV. And on to page 20, where we have the world news. Hamas, Fatah signs declarations on ending the rifts. You can also read that Palestinian factions, Hamas and Fatah, signed a declaration in Beijing on ending year-long rift. Chinese state media said Tuesday, taking steps towards potentially resolving the deep divide between the sides as war in Gaza rages on. You can also read that much of the world story there. Secret Service boss quits after shooting. That's in the US after the attempt on the assassination of Donald Trump in USA. The Secret Service in US, Secret Service boss resigned as that. You can also get that much of the story. Uganda police detained dozens of protesters. Remember, Ugandans were also protesting, but the Uganda's government has detained many people as a result of the protest. At least 230 people killed in southern Ethiopia landslide. Remember, there was experience of a landslide in Ethiopia. Residents seen using bare hands to dig through dirt in search of survivors in remote mountain areas. That is in Ethiopia. You can get to read much and more of that. At least 600 killed in clashes in Sudan. You can also read that of one story on page 20 of the People Daily. On page 21, we have click and clicks. Now you can also get spotted. The title goes to. You can also read much of that story by Mwangi Alberto. Get much and the pictorials, and you also have their much on the click and clicks. Travel wise, that is on page 22. Exploring the formidable beauty of Marsabit County. You can also see how Marsabit County looks, and much more. The story there by Harriet James. Get to read much of the story only on the People Daily on page 22. Now, moving on to page 23. Welcome, the Dove Party. You can see there, pizza is truly one of the greatest indulgence. Every bite is an explosion of flavor and texture, with just the right amount of cheese, sauce, and topping to satisfy every craving. You can get that on the story by Cash Mendy. You can take that on only on page 23 of the People Daily newspaper. Camille Abdul Kadir Abdistek GM, Orange, Kenya. You can also read that and much on the People Daily newspaper only on page 23. Get to grab your copy. Things, that's the text. Medical conditions that are likely to affect your driving. If you're a driver, we have some medical conditions that can affect your driving. Get behind the wheel of a car. Getting behind the wheel of a car is something many of us do on daily basis, and sometimes it's easy to take our ability to drive that you will only get on the People Daily newspaper. That story on page 24 of the People Daily newspaper. Get your copy and read much and get to know the conditions that can deter you from driving well on page 24 of the People Daily newspaper. Moving on to page 25, People Plus. Crochet and yarn, a craft that pays me handsomely. A story there. Every time her grandmother would take a knitting, Christine Kinena's interest for crocheting would grow stronger following her grandma's dismissal. However, she was forced to learn it the hard way, making her dearest hassle. You can also read that on page 25 of the People Daily. On page 26 of the People Daily, Time Out. Yes, we will find different programs of different TV channels. That is on Kameme TV K24. We also have there the TV programs for KBC, KTN, Citizen, and the Nation TV. We also have your horoscope there. You can check on page 26 of the People Daily. If you like Sudoku, Sudoku is there for you to try your luck. We also have Life Take That. That's a bunch of the cartoons there. You can also check and find out what is there on page 26 of the People Daily newspaper. On page 27, you can get the opportunity to advertise with the People Daily newspaper and much more. The beatbox, the live music mix is there on the People Daily newspaper on page 27 of the People Daily newspaper. My dear viewers, we have to take a break. I will be back to tackle much on what to expect on the spot in the People Daily newspaper. And remember, you can leave a comment, ask a question, and also stay with us only in BTV Kenya. You can follow us on BTV Kenya, that is YouTube, Blackman TV on Facebook page, BTV Kenya, that's on TikTok and on Twitter. We're having a short break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Blackman Digital Graphics. We offer design, printing and branding services using large format printing, offset and digital printing. Our approach to printing, graphics design and branding is top-notch with quality services including roll-up banners, street banners, teardrops, reflective banners, telescope banners, vehicle branding, road signages, mugs, badges, t-shirts, polo shirts, hoodies, pens, letterheads, business cards, envelopes, receipt books, brochures, flyers, posters, calendars, magazines, wedding cards, plastic ID cards, funeral programs, and many more. We also have indoor and outdoor videography, photography, and live streaming services. Visit us at our Migori Market, Onyinjo Bridge, Tiendege Stage offices. Call or WhatsApp us through 0721 379308 or 0736 352224. Connect with us on YouTube and Facebook at Blackman TV. We are on TikTok as BTV Kenya and also Blackman Studios on Facebook as well. Blackman Digital Graphics, quality you can trust. Welcome to Blackman Digital Graphics. We offer design, printing and branding services using large format printing, offset and digital printing. Our approach to printing, graphics design and branding is top-notch with quality services including roll-up banners, street banners, teardrops, reflective banners, telescope banners, vehicle branding, road signages, mugs, badges, t-shirts, polo shirts, hoodies, pens, letterheads, business cards, envelopes, receipt books, brochures, flyers, posters, calendars, magazines, wedding cards, plastic ID cards, funeral programs, and many more. We also have indoor and outdoor videography, photography, and live streaming services. Visit us at our Migori Market, Onyinjo Bridge, Tiendege Stage offices. Call or WhatsApp us through 0721 379308 or 0736 352224. Connect with us on YouTube and Facebook at Blackman TV. We are on TikTok as BTV Kenya and also Blackman Studios on Facebook as well. Blackman Digital Graphics, quality you can trust. Welcome to Blackman Digital Graphics. We offer design, printing and branding services using large format printing, offset and digital printing. Our approach to printing, graphics design and branding is top-notch with quality services including roll-up banners, street banners, teardrops, reflective banners, telescope banners, vehicle branding, road signages, mugs, badges, t-shirts, polo shirts, hoodies, pens, letterheads, business cards, envelopes, receipt books, brochures, flyers.
Welcome back, my dear viewers. As we said earlier, we are here giving you newspaper review only in BTV Kenya and your most favorite program, that is Vibrant Morning. Welcome. Now we are to tackle to give you what to expect in the People Daily newspaper and on sports. That's on page 28 of the People Daily newspaper. Kenya's unique travel kit. Now the kit that the Kenyan team, that is the Malkia striker, are putting on, and on the page there is a kit. The Kenyan athletes will travel to Paris dressed in apparel inspired by national pride and cultural heritage. That and much of the story you'll get to find there on page 28 of the People Daily newspaper. Kenya, Uganda set to host major netball training camp with over 3,000 youthful players. That will also get there on the sports. That's on page 28. Financial hurdles, lack of support blamed for Ebwali Secondary School Regional KSSS shortfall. Now the Vihiga County Kenya Secondary School Sports Association champion Ebwali Secondary School Football Club had head coach Francis Muhambe has attributed the team's poor performance in the recent Western region semis games in Bungoma County in inadequate finance. Now the coach is now saying the performance of the team, that's Ebwali Secondary School, is a result of inadequate finance. And you also get the story, Athletics Kenya streamlined registration with the new Eldoret office. There is a new Athletics Kenya office in Eldoret, and members are asked to register from that end. You can also get that story on page 28. Lugulu girls serve up defending champions sweet revenge to reclaim volleyball title in Bungoma. It was witnessed where Lukuli managed to beat St. Martha's Mwaitoti 3 sets to nil to give them a revenge. A little known Lugulu girls. You can also get to read much of that story on page 29 of the People Daily newspaper sports. Now, Continental glory in sight. Police and Gor Mahia confident making it to the continental group stage despite Zamalek Ahali standing in their way. Remember, Gor Mahia has not been performing well, but they still maintain that they are confident that they will make it to the group stage. You can get to read much of that story on the People Daily newspaper, page 29. Now, Vivian Chebet ready to make history in Olympic Games. Vivian Chebet is ready to make history in Olympic Games. You can read that in the People Daily newspaper story by Vincent Voio. You can also read that story there. While moving on to page 30 of the People Daily newspaper, Anderson City, tenure uncertain. Remember Anderson from Man City goalkeeper. Pep Guardiola confesses he doesn't know if the Brazilian goalkeeper will remain at the club as transfer takes toll. You can also read that story on the People Daily newspaper. Kenya draws into toughest pool in Kabaddi World Cup group of death. The Kenyan team, that is the Kabaddi team, are drawn into a very tough group. You can also read there. Olympic official briefed in Australia, women alleged rape in Paris. You can also read that story there. Love at the village. Olympic athletes take on dating. You can see a photo of people there sitting to wait and see how Olympic that started yesterday in Paris is ongoing. No England captain's ambition, soon says Brooke. You can also read that story on the People Daily newspaper. Now, moving on to page 31. Olympic values shine amid global challenges. President Beck's speech at the IOC season sets hopeful tone for the Paris Games, emphasizing the importance of collaboration and shared values. You can read much of that story on page 31 of the People Daily newspaper. From Miss Lesotho to Paris, Michelle Tao's journey. You can also read Michelle Tao's journey, who is a Miss Lesotho. She has also been in Paris. You can also get to read that and much more. Age no barrier at Paris 2024 Olympic veterans set to grace the global stage. You can also read much of that story on page 31 of the People Daily newspaper. Now on page 32, no heroics for Shuja. Kenya surrender early, late to go down to Argentina, left in danger in tough Group B. National Rugby 7 side Shuja yesterday kicked off their Paris Olympic Games title chase on a wrong note after surrendering an early lead to eventually lost 31-12 to Argentina at the 80,000-seater Stade de France Stadium. Yesterday, Shuja were defeated by Argentina. And remember, the group stage where they are is a tough group. Now, let's wait to see what will become of them in the later dates. You can get much of what we are sharing with you only on the People Daily newspaper. Remember, we are only giving the brief of what to expect on the People Daily newspaper, and there is much more. We're just giving a newspaper review of what to expect on the People Daily newspaper. You can grab your copy, you can read the story, go to the business story, read much of the business story. You can also move into the sports and into world news and get much and much and much more. Let me just give you the last bit of what we see there. On the last page of the People Daily newspaper, Canada sent 2 staff members home over drone incident. You can also check that. And Parisians threatened to pop in the skinhead Olympic. You can also read that on the People Daily newspaper. Thank you so much, my dear viewers. We have come to the end of a newspaper review today on the Vibrant Morning. I'm Isaiah Gagi, who was taking you through this. Remember, you can grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper, which is a free newspaper, and read more. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Till tomorrow.
Wedding cards, plastic ID cards, funeral programs, and many more. We also have indoor and outdoor videography, photography, and live streaming services. Visit us at our Migori Market, Onyinjo Bridge, Tiendege Stage offices. Call or WhatsApp us through 0721 37 9308 or 0736 35 2224. Connect with us on YouTube and Facebook at Blackman TV. We are on TikTok as BTV Kenya and also Blackman Studios on Facebook as well. Blackman Digital Graphics. Quality you can trust. Welcome to Blackman Digital Graphics. We offer design, printing and branding services using large format printing, offset and digital printing. Our approach to printing, graphics design and branding is top-notch with quality services including roll-up banners, street banners, teardrops, reflective banners, telescope banners, vehicle branding, road signages, mugs, badges, t-shirts,